What brings you in?
Well, she's a really good dog, temperament-wise. We've had her for 4 years almost. We got her from like a big dog rescue. And she's always really playful and jumps up, which I don't like, and like, it's more like barking and playing, which is scary looking, even though she means well.
She's big, yeah.
But then also, like 2 weeks ago, she was playing, well, I don't know what she was doing. I'll show you the video with our smaller dog. And killed him.
Oh.
Yeah. And she's never done anything like that
Very
before.
sorry to hear that, yeah.
They've lived together for 4 years.
How old was your other dog?
He was 6. He was like a 3-pound Chihuahua with hydrocephalus. He had like severe mental disabilities. Like he had no skull.
Wow.
Basically, I can send you the video, but we were sitting on our couch like we always do. She was here. He was on my lap, and there was no warning, at least that I saw, like no growl, no nothing, and she just kind of like snapped at him. She didn't like hold on. She didn't like shake him, like pray, but she just like snapped and then.
Yeah, she kind of fixated on him for a while.
She was like looking at him, but like nothing. She was like laying down while she was looking. She wasn't like alert or anything. So she was like on the couch laying, looking, and then snapped, and then that was it.
Any resource guarding behavior from her before?
No, not before, at least.
Okay.
We took her to K9 University also, because we just needed a boarder afterwards. So the day after we left her, we took her to K9, we left her there for 10 days, doing the board and train. And they all over there said, they were like, she's great. They watched the video, they said it looked like she was potentially resource guarding me, which maybe that, I don't not believe it. She's just never done it before.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Very odd. And then tomorrow we have an appointment at the vet for her. Any brain scan, see if she's in pain, if that was affecting it. But like, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's a tough situation because the sign was there because like you said, she fixated, but you don't really think of it in the moment because you'd never seen it before.
Well, I mean, she was also just laying on the couch, which she does all the time, looking at something. You know, when she's like laying down, she's just looking ahead no matter what. So it's actually hard to tell if she was fixating or if she was just laying down, and like that's where her head was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did she puncture like?
Yeah, she punctured the top of his head.
Okay, that's what I was assuming from what you told me. I see.
It went right into his brain.
So there was some level of pressure applied on her part.
Sure.
Yeah, but also, I mean, yes, but also remember he has no skull.
Skull, yeah.
So she broke skin, obviously. I don't know if he had a skull, if she would have broken it, but
yeah.
We'll never.
Do we know how deep the puncture was? No.
He was bleeding quite a bit.
Okay. Wow. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. That this is definitely one I go, wow, that is surprising. Because typically there's signs, that people usually will ignore and stuff like that.
Oh, everyone is shocked.
Yeah.
No one could believe it.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, had he not had his condition, would he have been fine?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Many years ago, I did a consult. It was 3 Yorkies and a pit bull. What was 3 Yorkies? And I walk in, and one of the Yorkies had been killed. And everybody assumed that it was a pit bull. So I walk in, and then, they had the tiniest Yorkie, Diva, was like just barking her brains out. And then like, do you know which dog killed the other Yorkie? I go, that one, the Diva, the little one. And they're like, how'd you know? And because everybody was always assuming the pit. I was like, because I walked in and the other 2 dogs are just hanging back like they really don't care. And then she's the one that's in control of the situation. So I'm going to assume that she was trying to correct the other dog or something because I didn't know anything other than a Yorkie had died. I was like, I'm going to assume it was an overcorrection or a correction or maybe a correction that went into a fight, blah, 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 blah. And they're like very close. What we assume, because this happened when they were gone, is that she went to correct the other dog and bit the other dog on the jugular, but punctured the vein. So the dog bled out. So it just happened to be, a good bite in the wrong spot, if that makes sense.
I didn't see it with my own eyes. wise, I would have thought it was our other dog that did it.
Uh-huh.
Because we had 4, now we have 3.
Yeah.
And it was this big one and then 3 little ones also. I would have thought that it was the other 2 far before Fiona.
Mm-hmm. What are the other breeds?
The one that died was like a little Chihuahua with hydrocephalus.
Mm-hmm.
The other one's a Chihuahua mix, like a long-haired Chihuahua
Mhm.
mix, and then the other one is like a sort of a terrier mix, like very small too.
Okay.
More like a, I think Cotton Terrier was his like main
Breed?
breed. Yeah, kind of like a fluffy Shih Tzu.
He's like 10, 15 pounds.
Yeah,
Morrison, the long-haired Chihuahuas, like
7 pounds.
full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a long-haired Chihuahua. He's 8 pounds, so I can imagine. Okay.
And even like so, obviously like the killing is bad. I like to think it was an accident, fine, but even it just has me more concerned. Like when she jumps,
Mhm.
she plays.
Mm-hmm.
That is so dangerous for something who is smaller than her, which is most things on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
Even like my mom is like 90. Well, she's like 70. I don't know why. I added 20 years.
Cause
But like if Fiona jumps on her and she falls,
Yeah.
she's dead.
great harm. Yeah.
So like, obviously, I am worried about that fight, but it's also now more being like, oh, whatever she does is really dangerous, and we
Mhm.
kind of like let her get away with stuff because she has a good temperament. But
Mhm.
it's like no matter even your temperament can be so good if you do something by accident.
Mm-hmm.
So now we need to like control the jumping, the playing when it's not appropriate, all of that stuff
Mhm.
to make sure that like, and obviously if there's aggression or we see anything weird with that, that also needs to stop.
Mhm.
But just because no one's seen it after that one thing,
How long ago was this?
Weeks ago.
a couple.
Okay,
weeks-
so fairly
10
recent.
days ago, because we picked her up, we put her in K9 for
Okay.
10 days afterwards.
Fairly
I'll
recent.
show you the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well, this.
It's not like you'll see anything crazy.
Yeah,
like,
you don't
it's
see
not
anything nuts.
gross or anything like that. It's just a snap.
You'll see
Nice.
30 seconds beforehand too.
Okay.
So here.
This is like a home security camera or something. They caught it. Okay.
So, okay, so this is the kitchen, and then you'll see us over here.
I see.
So
Okay.
there, that's the small one. Fiona's right there. That's my friend, and that's me. And then
Oh.
little her, like the little one's on my lap.
Oh, that was a bite.
I know.
Okay, so I did see something. If you would rewind it to the beginning, it's very, very subtle. Okay, I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
All right, so you sit down. There it is. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
That was the tension right there. So she gets up, she turns right there. You see that head turn, and then
Yeah.
the fixation.
But like
Turns
she
away.
kind of turns away. Yeah.
Yeah, but so what it looks like from my perspective is she did this.
Yeah.
You see that? Like it's super subtle. From because she's got a big head, which makes it easier.
Yeah.
So
Well, she also just like, cause like even right now she just gets up and looks like that's just
yeah,
does
but
that all the time. I mean, I trust. I obviously.
we'd have to look at her. I know that we were not going to be able to,
Yeah.
but it's the eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, so from what I can see here, it's super subtle. Not all dog communication is like blatantly obvious, right? Because like, oh, but there's no growling, there's no teeth baring, there's no like bark, there's no like active aggression, right? I'm trying to remember how this. I have another client. It was a beagle, and the beagle had bit the wife. Okay, and they were doing training with another trainer. They were doing treats, from what I remember, and the dog was a resource guarder. And the owner was the husband was like sitting kind of off to the side while the wife was doing the training or something, and then out of nowhere, the dog bit the wife. Okay, and he was like, it was completely unpredictable, whatever. And I was like, well, the signs can be super subtle, and it was essentially kind of demonstrate too. I was like, it could be as little as moving the head back and just even the eyes doing that is already, that's what we call loading tension, right? And then if you don't see that, especially from your perspective, right? If you don't see that, you're not going to see the sign. So when I explained that to him, he's like, you know what? You're absolutely right. He's like, because I was sitting across, and he's like, and I did see the movement, and I thought maybe that was the sign, but he didn't understand. Like he was expecting the same thing. He's like, there wasn't like a growl, there wasn't this or that. I go, no, the warning was simply the head tilt and the eye look. And she lingered for too long, and then the dog goes, I'm gonna protect my food now. Does that make sense? So from that perspective, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty good about reading dog body language.
Probably more confident than I am.
You sat down, she pulled back, right? And then the head turns like this, and then the head, and I can just see the way her head is postured. It feels and looks as if she's tense and she's going, I don't like this for whatever reason, right? And I see the little Chihuahua on you like this, right? In that context, the things that pop up in my brain that potentially triggered it were you were on the couch, correct?
It was my friend.
It was your friend.
Yeah.
Okay. So potentially guarding the friend, that's one thing, right? And I know you're like, but we've had this dog for years and we've never seen it before. And this is what I say all the time. I go, just because you've seen it not happen 100 times doesn't mean it won't happen the 101st time. I get this a lot with kids. Jesse, we've raised this golden retriever since he was a puppy, and then he's 5 years old and like just became aggressive with our kids, right? I'm like, well, what happened? Well, our kids were playing with him and then snapped at them. I'm like, right, but what were they doing? Oh, they were pulling at his jowls, but they've been doing it for 5 years. I'm like, exactly. What's to say the dog can't say one day, I'm done with this? Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's one context that I see is potentially resource guarding the friend. There's potentially resource guarding the couch. There was you entered the space. It looked like a tight space kind of. You look fairly close.
Right next to her.
Yeah, right next to her. And it could have just been that her not liking the Chihuahua doing this to you. Okay. Again, she's the only one that could really tell us the reason why. But in that video, those are the kind of three-ish possibilities that I see as the potential trigger for that.
And I think, what they were saying over at Canine was dogs are more in tune to those signs. So like if it was a different dog, he basically had no brain, right? His brain was filled with spinal fluid.
Mm-hmm.
So like he's
just oblivious.
He was just oblivious
Sure.
to everything. So like they said that maybe if it was another dog, they pick up on those signals
Mhm.
easier
Mhm.
and like adjust to it. Whereas he's just kind of like reacting to things that touch him.
Sure.
He could barely hear or see or anything.
Sure.
So like that also.
Yeah, his inability to kind of go like, things don't look good right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, did dogs ever do like mercy killings? Because I think the little one was kind of close to.
There was tension there,
Okay.
for sure. In her head posture,
Yeah.
the way it was angled and everything. Because the other thing that tells me attention is that her head never fully comes down.
Okay.
Right? Because she was like this. I look like you step in, she does this. She does the head movement that I pointed out, and then doesn't come back to this. Is in the middle, and like I can see from her head posture, it definitely looked like a side eye, and it was just there. And what happened? We call it loading, right? She's uncomfortable. She doesn't like what's happening, right? She's giving the signs of like, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm not liking this right now. And then thinking like, okay, well, how do I get rid of the situation? And it's not to say that she meant to kill the other dog. That could have been like a leave my space.
Yeah, because she went right back also.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
But her size, the fact that he had no skull,
Yeah.
like they're like, how do you say, a recipe for disaster, unfortunately,
Baby girl.
Yeah, so, it's just one of those things where it's like, you've probably done it several times, and it was never an issue, and for whatever reason, that one day,
Yeah.
it was
I've
an
never
issue.
even seen her snap at anything, whether she like made contact or not. I've seen her kind of go like when she's laying down and like maybe you like step on her tail, she'll go like
I can tell you that was a meaningful correction.
Oh yeah, no, she meant to do it.
Yeah. Like it was like there was, how would you say,
I was
some.
right there. It was not
But meaningful as in like,
Like she meant to do it. I don't know if she meant to kill.
correct.
Yeah.
But the intensity of the correction is what I mean by meaningful, right? Because we get dogs that like will, for example, you know, I have a kid that was of a client that was bit in the face. One of the first things I always ask is there a puncture or are there punctures, right? And they're like, no, it was just a bruise. I'll tell them, then I was like, that is a, how do you say, it was a well thought out correction. Like the dog's not going, I'm going to just like cause you physical harm, right? It's like, I don't need to bite to the point that you're gonna, you know, puncture and bleed, but I'm gonna give you meaningful enough that it's gonna leave a little bit of a mark, it's gonna bruise, but not break skin, right? Or I'll get clients who are like, oh, you know, the dog almost got me, but I was able to move fast enough. I was like, no, your dog was giving you a warning. Dogs are really good about calibrating. If they want to correct, like you're gonna get bit. You know, like this is a dog bite here.
Yeah.
I have a scar here, I have a scar here.
She could have killed all of us in that house.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, people don't think about that kind of stuff, you know, but it is any dog, technically speaking, has the capacity to kill, right? Obviously, as a human, like there was a lady that was killed by her Frenchies. Did you ever hear about that? Yeah, I believe it was in Indiana.
how many Frenchies?
I think she had like 3, maybe 5 Frenchies, right? And I mean, it's a lot of Frenchies, but you would think like should be able to defend yourself from 3 to 5 Frenchies, like they're smaller, you know? But it's something that we just don't really think about. You know, there was I think recently, I think it was over in UK, that a guy was killed by his bullies that he was breeding. He went out to go feed them, and then from what the news report says, it was like they turned on him or whatever, right? My trainer brain always goes like, no, there must not that I'm not thinking that he's abusing them, but I'm thinking like something happened that started tension, and then unfortunately he was the target of that tension, and he had like 3 to 5 like dogs like this, but they're like pit bulls, they're massive dogs. And there's been a couple of stories like that. Like there was one guy that got chased up and he had to climb up his he had like a brick fence or something like that, and he was on top of the fence, and the dogs wouldn't let him come down. You know, so when you're in the dog training world, like I am, especially because I deal with aggression, like that's my specialty. Like my algorithm is just like a bunch of crazy stuff. But yeah, that in that moment, from what I could decipher, that's most likely the root cause. For whatever reason, she just didn't like that situation. So training-wise, obedience-wise, like that stuff's always easy. Behavior-wise, it's difficult in the sense that it's not an obvious problem, if that makes sense.
That's why it's like so hard.
Yeah. When we get things like this, and I do this even if you hadn't had that situation, I'm always very cautious with dogs, especially like much larger dogs, because as you noted, like they can cause great harm even with being friendly, you know. I know you said about your mother, correct, being 70 years old. I had 2 clients. It was a husband and wife, and they adopted a bulldog mix. He was probably about 80, 90-pound dog, very friendly. I go to because this is back when I was doing in-homes. I go to their home and I walk in, and the husband's got like a cast on his arm, and I was like, "Well, what happened?" He's like, "Well, the dog pulled me so hard it broke his arm or whatever." Right? We do the training, and then one day they're at the park, and this was in Hyde Park, and the dog was doing the zoomies, and it was like where everybody took their dog to play off leash, right? It was an enclosed park, and the dog runs around the park, runs around, comes back behind the wife, okay, and runs through her.
Who's done that to? Who's
Yeah,
done that to
Fiona
Will?
did that to me one time.
Threw her in the air, broke her hip.
Oh God.
Yes. Yes, right? And this wasn't like anything like behavior, like literally the dog just like ran through her, you know? But, you know, these things happen and we don't think about them until unfortunately we see a consequence of it, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm always very cautious with those things. My biggest thing is avoidance, right? So like, for example, seeing that situation in my book, I go, well, this dog's not going to be on the couch with me then.
She has not been since.
Yeah. And that's just now a permanent rule because unfortunately, her size, if you don't have I've been doing this 16 years. I read dogs real time. So like right now, as we talk, we understand these things real time, right? That's me with dogs. So when I'm doing like behavioral stuff with clients, like let's say we're socializing their dog because they're antisocial, I'll be like boom, 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 like just like calling out all these things, and they're like, "How did you see?" Like I'm barely processing the first thing that you told me, right? I'm like, because I trained dogs for so long that their body language is like speaking English to me, and sometimes they do things, and I go, I know what it means, but I can't say it in words, you know. But it's things like that get us into trouble because if you don't see those super subtle signs or predict things, like I know with certain personality types what I can expect, and because I know that, I can assume certain things, which allows me to stay out of trouble, if that makes sense, right? So the obedience stuff, all that's easy. The behavior stuff is tricky because technically speaking, like let's say she was a resource guarder and this was a known problem, right? And it just so happened to be that one day she actually got a good correction in, right? Is that in order to address the problem, you have to force the problem and then correct the problem, right? And obviously that comes with a lot of risk and liability there. There's certain things that we can press, right? I go, yes, we can do this, so we can do it safely. And then I'll tell my clients, but even though that we're doing this, I still recommend that you don't do it because there's always margin for error. We're doing it just in case the situation arises. Ideally, the dog makes the right decision, right? So to give you an example, one of my first aggression cases was a dog named Alaska. She's a fear-aggressive pit bull. Her video is actually one of my first videos on my YouTube. No one could come into the home, scared of everybody, right? Do the training, she's making great progress. No one could touch her tail, including the owners. With the owners, she would snap at them, but not bite them. Anybody else, you're getting bit for sure. Okay. So when they told me that, I go, I'm gonna have to touch her tail, right? It took me about 2 to 3 classes. It was very difficult. It was very stressful for everybody to the point that I got cursed out by the dad. And I told him, like, trust me, like, I need to do this. We finally got her to stop the aggression with the tail. Okay. She still didn't like it, but she stopped the aggression. Fast forward like a year or two, we used to live in the same neighborhood, and I ran into him at a bar in Pilsen called Skylark. Okay. Dad comes up to me, he's like, Jesse, I owe you a fucking shot. And I'm like, well, what's up? There's this thing called Pilsen Fest, which is like on 18th Street, and they were off of one of the side streets there, and they had Alaska with them out front off leash because she had made such great progress. She wasn't a problem anymore. Some kid randomly runs up, grabbed her tail. Okay, nothing happened. But they said, the kid grabbed her tail, and you could see her go like this, like, because she didn't like it. Kid let go, ran off. Kids being kids, right? And he goes, now I understand why you took the time to address that, that problem. I go, right. I was like, I wouldn't tell anybody to touch your dog's tail, but those are the things that happen. I had another client, another pit bull, who he lived in the South Loop. He was on Michigan by the walking legs, crossing over Michigan. His dog was superhuman reactive and dog reactive. We got all that under control, but he only liked his owner and a select couple of people. Nobody else could touch him, right? But he could finally walk his dog in peace. He's standing with his back towards the park because he's waiting to cross Michigan. Some random person comes up and just touches his dog. The dog bit the person, right? We had covered that stuff, but that's where like the buffer fails. But I told him, your dog was caught off guard. The person didn't ask to pet your dog, and literally like the dog's facing this way, and the person just does this because they had pit bulls, right? And then the guy that touched his dog that got bit then got mad at my client for his dog biting him for petting his dog when he didn't ask permission.
Yeah.
It was a whole thing, right? But I told him, I was like, even though we put all those buffers in place, right? We did the touch exercise and all that stuff. In that moment, he was just caught off guard. I'm like, imagine if you're just standing there, someone grabs your shoulder, and the first thing you're gonna assume is something bad, right? Same thing for the dog. So it's like an example of when a buffer succeeds, but then also when the buffer fails. So that's why I tell everybody, yes, we can try to push things, we can address things, but ultimately it's just, we're preventing the situation or the context from happening. If it were to happen, ideally the buffer kicks into play, and then the dog goes, I don't like this. Instead of trying to correct the dog, I'm gonna hop off the couch and leave the situation, is ideally what we would want, right? But then of course humans are always in charge of everything. because that's the closest you're going to get to that not ever happening again, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Questions on any of that stuff?
No, I mean, it's just, even our small dog walked by her today and I got a little nervous. And it's like,
Yeah, PTSD.
yeah, and also like all the training in the world doesn't mean it won't happen again if the situation arises. So it's like, do we go through all that or do we just give her a good home like on a farm with someone with other big dogs? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I break things down very realistically to people, right? I don't sugarcoat things. Because at the end of the day, if I were to sugarcoat something and then tell you everything you want to hear, and then something happens, right? So, is it possible that she can coexist with the other dogs safely? Yes, but it would require a lot of vigilance. It would require a lot of her being told what to do all the time to help prevent these contacts from happening, right? The easiest one obviously is like, well, she's not allowed on the couch. I would also just not allow her on any kind of furniture. And then just, if, I'm assuming prior to this, was she ever left, was she crated when you were gone, or was she left with the dogs to free roam?
Just left free roam.
Yeah, so like I would stop that too, you know. Overnight, if there's free roaming, I'd stop. Anytime where it's like I can't be there to observe what's happening, she's either crated or she's in a room to herself, or the dogs are in a room to themselves.
Yeah. And like, what kind of life is that for her?
Well, dogs don't have, how do you say, they don't have an understanding of, oh man, I used to have so much freedom before, and now I don't, right? It's if you change things, she just goes to what you're giving her, the rules or whatever. So for example, with our dogs, we have 3 dogs. We have a Chihuahua, a Pit, and a Pyrenees, okay? When my wife got pregnant, it's wrapped around the leg. With our son, the first thing I told her was the dogs are no longer allowed on the couches and they're no longer allowed in the bed. As a flat rule, okay? And we started that the moment we knew she was pregnant because I told her we have to break habits now, right? And there was a little bit of like begging in the beginning from my Pit because she was so used to being on the couch with me and stuff, and then I would correct her and she'd walk off, and then now it's just like they just don't even care about it anymore, right? So dogs don't reflect and think like, oh, I used to have so much freedom, but ever since I did that thing, all of a sudden life has changed. They just adapt to what you give them. It's typically the human attaching emotion and guilt to things, you know, because we're thinking that they think like us, which they don't, okay? So it's a lot of work in the sense of you have to be vigilant about things. The one thing that gets people is complacency. Complacency in the fact of like, so you see like right there, to me that is, what's the word? Possessing.
Of you?
Yes. Because she didn't just stand across me, she put some weight on me, okay? Yeah. Pour it away. Okay. It's something as subtle as that, right? Where that people don't think of it that way. So go ahead and pull her in. Pull. And you're going to shorten your leash, and you're going to pull up on your leash and press down on her hindquarters. It should put her in a sitting position.
Come on. Sit.
So up and then down. There we go. Excellent. Okay. Right? You just saw her, and it looks like affectionate, right? To me, I go, no, that's her claiming me, right? But if you don't see that, or, you know, because most people, they want to do this, right? Even early when she came up to me, she went straight up to my face and you saw me kind of go like this, right? I went with it a little bit and then you saw me kind of push her away, okay? As humans, the things that we think are good a lot of times aren't, but they're reinforced. So if let's say she's done that to you and you went with it, then technically speaking, she owns you, right? And if she owns you, you know, if you think about like the dog hierarchy and everything, right, then she's in charge. And if she's in charge, and technically speaking, she's the one that makes the rules. And the rule can be as subtle as, I don't like the fact that this little Chihuahua is here or whatever. Does that make sense? So, and it starts at the beginning of the relationship. So for a lot of people, when they get their puppies, for example, a 2-month-old puppy comes and jumps on you, almost everybody pets the puppy. And I tell them, at that point, the puppy has now said, leader, subordinate, right? Because I came and told you to do something, give me affection, you went with it. And we don't think of it that way, right? You know how many people that come to me struggling with their puppies because they don't listen, right? I was like, a part of listening is authority. But if the puppy has already established, I tell you what to do, and then you come back and want to tell the puppy what to do, well, it's not going to be that easy anymore. Because now you're having to undo that relationship, you know? And then over the course of time, we take that puppy and we're rewarding these unwanted behaviors, and now that puppy is a 140-pound Rottweiler or 120-pound German Shepherd, and now they're 2 to 3 years old, and now we're trying to come back and go like, no, you have to listen to me. Then it's more of a struggle because the dog's like, what do you mean? Like, I've told you what to do for the past, you know, year to 2 years or what have you. So it's these little subtle things that we see as endearing. Oh, it's just a puppy like jumping on me to get, like wants me to pet them and stuff. Like, well, no, man, it's a puppy telling me what to do. I don't have any problem giving a puppy affection, but I'll do it when I want to give them affection. I'll do it when they do something good, right? If they do a good sit, good puppy, right? But I would not ever do it in response to the puppy telling me to do something, okay? So little things like that do make a big difference. It's just that most people don't really see it that way. So going back to your topic before, it really just comes down to, because that PTSD, because that's what that is, right? Like I had PTSD from this. It still lingers, except it just very, very rarely triggers now. But after I got bit by the Great Dane, I remember shortly after I was taking care of a client's dog. This was before I got my facility, or like in the beginning when I was getting my facility. They also had a Great Dane, and he was a big goofball. And I remember I took him out to go potty, and he like did a quick little play jump, and it literally made me jump out of my skin. Like I freaked out, and then I caught myself like, what the heck was that about, you know? And then I realized it's because of what happened here. And then it took me a couple of years, I kept catching myself, and I got better and better and better at it. But every now and then it'll still trigger, where like if a dog moves a certain way, that it triggers what happened, my PTSD from this, right? So same thing for you. In the beginning, your nerves are going to be up, and I can't tell you how long it's going to take for that to go away, if it goes away. So that's another thing that you have to factor in, you know, having to live with that until either, you know, you get over it, or it passes, or you feel confident enough in your understanding of dog behavior and the control that you have through the training that you've done. But still, it'll most likely just be kind of sitting there. Okay. Question on any of that?
No.
Questions not related?
No.
Before booking this, did you read on how we train, the methods that we use?
E-collar.
E-collar,
Yeah.
yeah. With the Canine University, was it just food and stuff?
Yeah.
Did they show you what to do, or was it to help you with what you had dealt with, or?
I mean, it was, yes, it was a little bit of everything. I mean, it was literally the day after I was like, she has to go somewhere. So
Yeah.
I told them obviously, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, look out for it, train around it if you can. It was a board and train.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, train around it, but also like, just make her listen.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of like let them do whatever they wanted while we had some space.
I
from
see.
her.
Okay. Are you familiar with what the e-collar is, like the technology?
Like shocks them.
So that's what most people think. Have you ever been to a chiropractor or physical therapist?
Yeah.
Have you ever had TENS therapy,
Yes.
the muscle stimulator?
Yeah.
That's the e-collar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people think electrocution, right? Shock, because of the shock collar name or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a miniaturized TENS unit. I actually have a video on my website where I compare an actual TENS unit with the e-collar. And side by side, they feel very identical, except that the way a TENS unit operates is it works continuously, so that it can like break up muscle, scar tissue, or ease like muscle pain, things like that. Whereas with e-collar, it's momentary. It's only when you press the button does the dog actively feel something. So So it's a muscle stimulator. I like to refer to it as like a bite on the button.
We do.
As you learn, dogs nip and bite as a form of correction, right? They also nip and bite as a form of initiating play, sometimes even as a sign of affection, like sometimes they'll even nibble, things like that. They're very mouth-based creatures.
Fiona does that.
So
Yeah, she loves
with
nibble.
proper conditioning, in my theory, the dog learns to think of it as like a similar to a dog bite, okay? So now we have the ability to reinforce things like obedience, sit, stay, down, come, place, heel, but then we also have the ability to correct things like aggression, anxiety, reactivity, jumping, pulling, things like that. We can correct through the collar. Let's say, for example, I'm working on socializing a dog who is antisocial. And they're in the group of dogs, and I see them giving that kind of side eye. And I already know like where this is going to go. I can now correct that tension, that loading tension, through the collar to help snap them out of that mindset. Okay?
Fiona?
It's like, come on. It's like right there, you see how she kind of perked up and went into an alert state there, right? So like let's say, for example, I didn't like that and I had a collar on her and she had been conditioned correctly. I could press the button there and it would snap her out of it and then redirect her to something else, okay? So in my book, it's the only training tool that gets you on or gives you on and off leash control. Every other tool, like let's say we use food, if there's something more rewarding in the environment, food goes out the window. If there's something more stressful in the environment, food goes out the window. Tools like the gentle eater or the prong collar or no pull harness, what have you, the moment you take the leash off, well, now we no longer have contact, we don't have control. E-collar, because it's electronic at the press of a button, I have control up to a mile away, depending on the model that we use for the dog. Nobody lets their dog go a mile away, but that's what the range gives you. So it gives you the ability to reinforce obedience, but at the same time also address behavior, okay? Similar to like TENS therapy, we start low, we work our way up. I don't know what her number is going to be, okay? We would figure all that out real time. I have a puppy right now doing a 3-week board and train with me. He's a 7-8-month-old husky mix. His number today was around 60. Everything else, he didn't care about it. He was ignoring it. And he's on a high-powered collar, the collar that I'd recommend for her, okay? It's perfectly safe to use. I could put on my 8-pound Chihuahua. It just means we get more from less because it's a stronger collar. Okay, so even on a stronger collar, 7-8-month-old husky mix, his number is 60, right? Most dogs fall between 25 to 35, right? So she could be 20. Her size doesn't dictate that she would be receptive to it. Every case is different. Breed, size, age, temperament, none of that stuff matters. It all comes down to how sensitive are they to the e-collar, and then we go from there, okay? The first thing that I always teach is heel, which helps address leash walking, leash pulling, and leash reactivity, which is the most common problem that I come across as a dog trainer. So we make sure we cover that right away if we're doing some kind of in-person program. Even if I'm doing a board and train, the first thing that we teach is always heel. Part of it is most people walk their dogs 3 times a day, 7 days a week. So that's 3 times a day, 7 days a week that we get to practice this healing exercise. E-collar is a stressor. Heel or walking helps alleviate stress. So as we build stress as we're training, we're also burning it off as we're walking the dog, okay? It's also a positive thing. In the beginning, especially in the early stages of e-collar, not uncommon that a dog doesn't like the tool because it's a disciplinary tool. But eventually the dog learns every time that thing comes out, we go for a walk, I get to chase squirrels, I get to do this, we go to the park, whatever. They start to learn that there's a positive association. So like my dogs, if I take their collars and I put it from the table to like a drawer, they'll come running. Because they're like, where are we going? I'm like, we're not going anywhere. I was just putting it away, right? But the association of like, we're gonna go to the park or we're gonna go for a walk is very high that they always come running for it because they're excited because they know what it means. But in the beginning, they were stressed out because they're like, we don't like this because it's discipline, okay? It gives us the ability to recollar dogs, whether they're chasing squirrels, if they're at the park off leash playing with other dogs. I've even had clients where they're at the park, there was a firework, scared their dog took off, and they were able to return the dog because of the e-collar. Okay, and that's a very extreme situation because the dog's in fear-flight response. So I tell people like it's not about recall there. It's technically speaking, the dog is scared of the fireworks, so they're running for their life. It's against instinct to run towards danger, right? Especially for a dog. So with the e-collar, if it's been appropriately conditioned and the owner's done all the proofing stuff, Technically speaking, they're making the dog more scared of running away from them than they are of wanting to get away from the firework, if that makes sense. Because you have to override one with the other. So now the dog goes, running. The consequence of running away from my owner is worse than how I feel about this firework. And that's what gets them to override their fear flight response and get them to return. It's not a very common thing, but it has happened to clients. I've also had clients come across coyote in the city of Chicago. And then I've also had dogs be attacked by off-leash dogs. And the owners were able to pull them out of the fight because of the e-collar, okay? So these are very kind of extreme situations, but anytime anybody's come back to me, like, I'm so thankful that I did this training, like it's something kind of crazy like that.
Yeah,
okay?
our friends are the ones who recommended you. They
Oh,
did.
who are your friends?
Clay and Lola, their dog Cricket is like a big
Oh, yeah.
German Shepherd mix.
Yeah, I remember
Pyrenees,
Cricket.
maybe. And I don't know if they did it with you, but I know he uses an e-collar. There's a German Shepherd named George. Owner Michael.
Okay,
He's like a firefighter.
okay.
I don't know if they did it with you, but he uses an e-collar too.
Yeah. I remember. Oh, nice. I thought you guys just found us.
No?
Yeah. But yeah, in my book, it's the best training tool. The reality of dogs is that they can be serious animals. We're just so used to social media and like you see the cute pictures and all that stuff, right? And until you've experienced it firsthand, you don't really kind of realize like, oh well, like dogs can kill each other, they can kill humans, they can kill animals. Like they are predatory, beings, and they're physical creatures. So once you learn that and you kind of accept that, and then this is where like tools like prong collar and e-collar come into play, because in the dog training world there's a lot of drama. Where they'll call like trainers like myself barbaric for using prong collar, e-collar. Do you know why? You know prong collar, right? The spiky one?
Yeah, she has one.
She has one? Do you know why it looks that way?
No.
It's meant to mimic a dog bite.
Oh.
Those are teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Most people tend to associate like, oh, it's meant to poke the dog's neck and hurt them, which then deters the pulling. I'm like, kinda, but really it's meant to communicate. Like when used appropriately, it's meant to mimic a dog bite.
Oh.
Yes. So e-collar is again similar. I think of it as a bite on a button. When conditioned correctly, the dog thinks of it as similar to a nipper being bitten. So now I have the ability to communicate real time. So if I see her looking at a dog a certain way and I don't like it, I can correct her and go like, you're not going to think about that, right? And snap her out of it. If we get a dog that's in a high level of aggression state, if I have the appropriate collar, I should be able to cut through. There are exceptions, like it happens. I've even had dogs where I've had to double collar them, mainly dogs around her size, because the aggression was so bad. It was so intense that I needed a lot of, you ever been in a fight before?
No.
No? Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get punched, you don't feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it after the fight.
Yeah.
Same thing with dogs, right? So if I have a
When
140
were you
pound,
in a fight?
I mean, I've been punched in the face before. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not fighting anyone.
I've been in a couple of fights. I'm from the south side of Chicago. So you don't feel it, right? You feel it afterwards. So if I have a 150 pound Rottie or a Mastiff and they're aggressive, like they're not feeling that punch in the fight, So I need 2 collars because I need enough to cut through that adrenaline to get them like, you need to de-escalate this behavior right now. Very rare. I've had like 5 dogs in 16 years where I've had to do that. Most dogs are just a singular collar. But again, once you get used to dealing with dogs and like you have these kind of high stress, high aggression situations, like, oh, okay, now I can make sense. So question on any of that stuff. Obedience-wise, you can have her as well trained as you'd like. Behavior-wise, it's such a tricky situation because you really can't replicate that. And it could be, this does happen, and it would be very unfortunate if it was one of those things where I call them fluke moments, where it's like the dog's never done it before, it happens, and then never does it again. Like that does happen. Unfortunately, time will tell.
Fiona. Hey, come here. Come here. Good girl. She's just so sweet.
How old are your other dogs?
One is 16, the other one's 2.
Okay. Do you get the 2-year-old as a puppy, I'm assuming?
No, we got him when well, maybe now he's like 3, so we got him when he was 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I see. So you got him as an adult. I got
Yeah.
you. Okay. I was just curious if if you had gotten it as a puppy, how she was with him as a puppy.
She's always been very good with small dogs.
Yeah, they're thick as thieves. They love each other.
Yeah, they really like each other. I mean, I thought she liked the other one too, the Chihuahua.
Yeah.
Like the little one, like the little Chihuahua, the 3-pound one.
Yeah.
He would come up and he would sit right there in her little crevice, and
Yeah, it's not about like or dislike. It's mostly like, for whatever reason in that moment, she just didn't like the situation.
yeah, you didn't like it.
You know, like I got 2 brothers and a sister, and I love them. They're my family. But growing up, there was times where they did things I did not like.
Yeah.
But as people, we don't bite each other.
Yeah.
You know, and then growing up, my 2 younger brothers got into quite a few fights, like physical fights.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, as humans, we know it's wrong to take another person's life or to hurt someone. You know, things like that. Whereas dogs don't have that how'd you say,
Leave it.
understanding. You know, they don't have the like murder is wrong mentality.
You don't have that. You don't have that.
I had a case where it was a Frenchie and it was a Frenchie and a Chihuahua, coincidentally, and the Frenchie killed the Chihuahua.
Oh my God, these Frenchies are.
It happened. They were in the yard, and the owner just heard like a shriek, and then she ran out there, and then the Chihuahua was just there with a broken neck. And then I told them the best that I could assume was they were most likely wandering the yard, and they probably came to a scent. You know, it could have been like a dead rat or something. You know, and then maybe the Frenchie was there, Chihuahua came in, the Frenchie decides, I'm gonna guard this scent that I found, and then went to correct the Chihuahua, but then just went above what was necessary, you know. Were you thinking of like in person or like a board and train type thing?
I think we have, yeah, probably board and train because
You guys came from afar, right?
we live right down the street.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought the address was like maybe it was my next client because I have another consult after you.
No, we're right in Humboldt.
Oh, okay.
Right next to Clipper.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um,
I just don't think we have. I mean, we both work full time, so that's why it's also hard.
Okay. Well, with the board and train, I film everything. So like the first lesson of everything that I teach, I film it, and then I make a comprehensive video, then I send it to you, okay? And you get a video for each week that I have the dog. So if you did a 2-week board and train, you get 2 videos. The first video is always the longest, because that's where all the learning is. It's approximately anywhere between 2 to 3 hours long. And I teach everything from the ground up, okay? I know she's had previous training. I pretend like the dog doesn't. I just from the ground up, okay? Let's say, because it's funny, I've had dogs like this, they're like completely fine, and the moment they start a board and train, they start to become resistant because we are using pressure, okay? If she becomes resistant, you see me work her through it, okay? If I don't work her through it, then she learns that being resistant gets her what she wants, and that doesn't benefit anybody, right? We also have to think about in behavior cases. Let's say I have a client whose dog is leash reactive, and then they're struggling with making the dog sit, for example, okay? The sit is mundane, it's simple. I really don't care about sit. But I'll tell them, if you can't make your dog sit and hold the sit, what makes you think you're going to stop your dog from being reactive? Right? Everything is like bigger pieces or pieces to a bigger puzzle, right? So if she gives me any protest behavior, I work through it. The husky, his name's Pablo, that I was mentioning earlier, is an anxious, nervous, flighty dog. So when I was working with him, he tried to run away. I had to work him through it. And I explained to the camera, I'm like, this is all normal. E-call is a stressor. His stress response is a nervous fear flight response. But if I don't work him through that, then he learns he can always just run away. That's not a good thing. So same thing here. I have had dogs shut down, dogs try to run away, and or dogs even becoming defensive or aggressive. I'm not making them aggressive. That's just their stress response. They're thinking, I'm going to try to fight this to see if I can to get away from it, right? Once they realize that that's not an option, they work through it, behavior goes away. So you get a video for each week that we have the dog. The second week video is shorter, approximately 45 minutes to an hour. That's where we begin to transfer obedience to long leash if you want to build towards off leash reliability. That allows you to take her to the park, run around. You know, if does she have any prey drive?
little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Squirrels, rabbits, birds. Like I don't care if dogs chase squirrels and rabbits and birds; they're predators. But I want to make sure that I can return them in those
Yeah.
situations.
She's killed rats before, I think, in our backyard. I always thought that maybe she just brought them in already dead.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think she's probably killed
She's
them.
got some predatory behavior. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If we have the dog for longer, 3 or 4 weeks, we're simply just getting them closer to off leash. Technically speaking, like if we did a 4-week program, the dog is off leash trained, but I remind everybody they're off leash trained with us because we did all the training. We didn't have to transfer all that training over to you, right? So you get your training videos. You're meant to implement and practice those exercises that I teach in the videos to help transfer things to you. You also get one-on-one follow-ups. So in case you're watching the videos and you're like, hey, this didn't really translate well, like we don't really understand or it's confusing, right? You go, not a problem, book a follow-up, and in the follow-up, I teach you, right? Because it is a lot of information, and it's one thing to watch something and then go outside and then do what you just watched, you know? So people, they'll misinterpret things or they'll misunderstand things, so then they'll book the follow-up and then I'll come in and I'll kind of clarify and then teach them and go over it with them in person.
Yeah.
Okay?
If we do in person, then how many days a week is in just like in person?
Once a week for an hour.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's not that bad.
No, and then with the in-persons, what's nice is that you do learn more because I teach you to train your dog,
Yeah.
right? So you're learning as she's learning, which is why things are a little bit slower. If she were to protest or whatever while working with you, right? I would walk you through it. So then you get the experience of like working through the behavior. There is value to that. Like I've been doing this for so long, like there's nothing that really surprises me. I already know how to work through it. But for the clients, if they've not ever seen it or experienced it, for them, they're like, well, we don't know what to do here. So that's the plus side of an in-person. So there's pros and cons. Board and trains, I get more done in a shorter period amount of time. Con is we have to transfer everything over to you. And there will always be work on your behalf no matter what program you do, okay? And no matter the length of the program. With the in-person, con is it takes longer. Pro is you learn more because you're doing everything yourself, okay? Do keep in mind I can only take you as far as you're willing to go. So let's say once we put her under pressure because it's I've had sweet dogs become defensive because we're telling them what to do, right? Most obedience is seen as a request. I even did a consult the other day where the person was like, actually, I even told my dog, like, can you sit? I'm like, exactly. That's, it's like sit down. Like it's usually like questionable things, right? But when you actually command the dog to do something and the dog's expected to do the thing, that's where the problems arise. Because now the dog's like, what do you mean I have to do this? What if I don't want to do this? And then you start to see the protest behavior, okay? It's just more concerning just because she's a sizable dog. Question on any of that stuff?
No.
How does she take to the prong collar?
Just like she doesn't even know it's there.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I think I'm probably putting a little bit more force through it than you are. It gets her to slow down, but yeah, I mean, it's not. Right now, I would say the training from K9 at least has gotten her better on leash. But I've walked her many times with the prong collar, and the prong collar is just like I mean, it definitely gets her to change what she's doing a little bit. Whether or not she chooses to listen is
Follow through?
Yeah. But she's not terrible on leash with that. But yeah, it's not enough for her.
It seems to stress her out a little bit. So like she's okay, like meaning like maybe 1 out of every 5 people she'll jump and like go after wanting to play or whatever at the beginning of the walk, and then at the end it's like everybody because she seems a little
overstimulated.
stressed or overstimulated, whether it's the collar or the walk or whatever. She's like way worse at the end.
Okay. Yeah, all that we can get addressed. So I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
With the prong collar, it's a great tool. The drawback to it is one, dogs already have a higher tolerance for pain as it is because they nip and bite each other. Plus they have the fur. Like if you had a German Shepherd, like it's very common with German Shepherds and clients, like the prong collar does nothing. I'm like, right, because they got all that density of fur, whereas the e-collar is a muscle contraction. And there's also dogs that just have a high threshold for discomfort. Like they don't care about it. And most people, I don't know how canine utilizes the prong collar, but you'd be surprised how many dog trainers in the dog training world do things wrong. So, but
I will say another thing with her too, and I think it's part of what's, or at least a contributing factor to this, is she has, so before we adopted her, I think she was from like some kind of hoarding situation on a farm. The theory is that she was kicked by a horse or something, and one of her knees back here is improperly healed.
Okay.
You'll notice it in her gait. But I mean, already with big dogs, you're not supposed to walk them a ton. Because of that, she like kind of doesn't have a lot of activity. So I think that can be a bit where she doesn't even realize, like it's her, I think it's her left leg. It's like more bulbous and kind of
I see.
stresses a little bit more on it. So you can, like, I think that
I see it.
We
Yeah.
were also thinking that maybe she was in pain too, which is why she was starting, which is,
I kind of
It
think
would-
that's more wishful thinking, to be honest. But I do think like that's
Yeah.
just that puts her at a point where she has less activity, and she kind of doesn't really understand her own power.
Yeah.
too.
I mean, dogs aren't really self-aware.
Yeah.
You know, like you'll hear people, especially with Great Danes, all the time, like, oh, they don't know their size, and they just like, sit on my lap, right?
Fiona, there you sit. Hey, hey,
Leave it.
Yep. So going to put her in. Yep.
Fiona.
Oh, I'm glad you got to see it in person. Hey,
And there's going to be another employee coming out shortly, just heads up. So that reactivity?
Yeah.
Okay, is that the barking that you're seeing with the
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
people? Okay.
honestly, that was better than ever. Usually she'd pull me off my chair. Like I can't, the fact that I could sit here and just kind of do this was way better than she's ever been before.
I gotcha. Yeah, that we can address. That we can correct. Okay.
That was crazy.
Now, like with the board and train, a con to that would be if I don't see that behavior, like I can't really do anything. We try to force things so that we can film it so that you can see it, how we would go about addressing it. But that's something like in the in-person where, you know, if we can either recreate the situation or at least give you like a breakdown of things so you have a foundation to then take out in the real world. Right now, during this season, I train inside. This is exactly where I train. But in the once things get warm in the summer season, I go to Oz Park and I train out of Oz Park over in the Lincoln Park area.
Yeah.
So there's tons of stuff over there: dogs, people, bikers, rollerbladers, segways, baseball games, jazz bands, kids, like you name it, it's there.
Fiona.
In terms of control, like how much control would you be looking to have over Fiona?
Well, a lot. One thing I do like about her though is like, she's a great guard dog. I don't mind it if she's like on our stoop and someone is coming in and she scares them a little bit. I don't mind that.
No, you get it. Security. Yeah.
I mean, I want full control over her.
Okay.
You know, like with a small. That's our other small dog.
Yeah. No,
I'm
I get it.
so nervous.
It's tough. I mean, it's very tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, the security stuff. I'm not. How'd you say? We want to be able to turn it off.
Yeah.
Is what I tell everybody. Like she's a sizable dog. You'd be surprised. Like even Chihuahuas are deterrents from like homes being broken into because they're so yappy.
For sure.
You know, and I know they're Chihuahuas, but people are also afraid of being bitten by Chihuahua.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, dogs are in my opinion, the greatest security
Yeah.
there is. Dog her size, like, because clients will be concerned about like, well, if I correct the reactivity, like that reactivity right now, that was not necessary, right? But she doesn't know that.
Yeah.
We know that because I'm like, oh, that's my employee, right?
Yeah.
But like, if you're walking down the street and you see someone that's suspicious and she's barking that way, you're like, well, I like it right now, right?
Yeah.
So it's just being able to have the ability to turn it off because unfortunately, like, there is still liability there. Even, especially in the city of Chicago, like leash laws, like if you have a yard and let's say someone reached into your yard to pet her and she bit that person, you would be responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how the laws work in Chicago. But people are always like, but it's my property. I go, right, but the leash laws also apply to your yard. So if your dog bit someone, even though they were, the person was reaching their hand through, I'm like, you're at fault for that. So if you're wanting like full control, that would be like a 12-week program. So we do 3, 6, 9, and 12 weeks. We cover all the obedience stuff. We can get her up to off leash as well. And there should be some wiggle room in there to help cover some of the behavioral stuff, okay? Now, if we spend, let's say something happens behaviorally that pops up that we just weren't expecting, and we take classes, like let's say 3 classes to address that behavior, then it's just gonna inhibit how advanced her training is gonna be, because we took a segue to address behavior, if that makes sense. Now, you could always add more classes at the end if you wanted to, but I've never had someone do like a 12-week or whatever and then be unhappy.
Yeah.
We've always gotten everything that we need to get done and then some.
Yeah.
Results, of course, are pending. You guys follow through with the training. I can only provide you with the instructions, but if you don't follow through with the instructions, we're just going to be at the same kind of stagnant spot. Okay? Questions on any of that?
How, if we did the once a week thing, how many days, like how many weeks?
It's 12. So 12 weeks, 12 classes.
12 weeks, 12 classes.
Once
But
a
then
week.
if the board and train was also 12 weeks.
No. The board and
Oh,
train
okay.
equivalent would be 4 weeks.
Got it.
Yes. The
Got
board,
it.
yeah. Board,
Is
so
the price the same?
no, it's different.
Okay.
So 4-week board and train is $4,750. A 12-week in person, I believe, is like around $2,700.
Okay.
And those prices are on my website.
Okay.
Tina will send them to you. So think of 1 week of our time as 3 weeks of your time. But even in 1 week, I get more done than,
Yeah.
because that's our job.
Yeah.
You know? So it just comes down to whether or not you want to learn as she's learning, get all the hands on yourself, and or if you want to just have it done in a shorter period of time and then have to just catch up to her training, So like a 4-week program would come with 7 follow-ups, and then you get 4 videos in that program. We can try to push things here, like if, I can try to see if she'll trigger with reactivity, but if we don't see it, then,
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. Like, I'll get it addressed in a follow-up or whatever. It's just that you don't get the benefit of seeing it.
Yeah.
And what I also do is like I'll send other clients like videos of clients that have had like the same issue. I'm like, oh, here's me working the client through this problem. So it's helpful to see it and hear what's going on and go like, okay, that's how he stopped the behavior, so on and so forth.
Okay. Okay.
And then the cost of the training tool is around, it's $340-ish with tax.
Oh, yeah,
if
the
you get
collar?
it through us, the e-collar,
Yeah.
correct. It's 10% off. Drops it down to about $310-ish. I don't care where you get the collar, but I do care that you get the correct collar because that will make a big difference in the training. Okay. Other questions?
No.
Definitely give it some thought.
Yeah.
The other benefit of the in-person is like just talking about home structure, things like that. You can also cover it in a follow-up from the board and train.
Yeah.
But board and trains are pretty much very obedience driven.
Yeah.
Unless we happen to see the behavior.
And you have shorter than 4 weeks, yeah? You have.
Yeah, 2, 3, and 4. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 week programs.
Okay.
Minimum I'd recommend is 2.
Okay.
4 is if you're wanting like the whole.
Yeah. I'm
9
going on
yards, whatever.
vacation soon, so I thought maybe that might be a good.
Sure, and you can split it up too. Like we've had clients purchase a 4 week, and they'll do 2 weeks, and then they'll book the next 2 weeks like in the.
Oh, nice.
That's not a problem. So if you commit up front, it's cheaper. If you do 2 weeks and then purchase another 2 weeks, you're spending more because it's a 2-week
Yeah,
program
yeah.
plus a 2-week program, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But if you're like, yeah, we'll just do 3 weeks up front or 4 weeks up front, you get a cheaper rate, and then you just book the dates. We do everything by week.
Okay, cool.
So it wouldn't be, oh, we're going to do 16 days here and then 10 days here. Like it'd be by the week. So 7, 14,
Yeah.
21, or 28.
Okay.
So you do 14 and 14 or 14, 7 and 7. I don't care. We just care that it's done weekly. If it happens to be a week and then a few days, then it'd be a week of board and train and 3 days of boarding until you're ready to book the next week or whatever. Okay. But yeah, that's fairly flexible. We've had clients do that in the past, not a problem.
And then if we do the 1 day a week, same day every week?
For the most part,
Yeah.
if something happens with your schedule and you have to reschedule, it's not a big deal
Okay.
as long as we know in advance.
Okay.
Towards the end of a long program, it goes from being week by week to like come when you're ready next, because it's a lot.
Would you want both of us there, or just, like, does it matter? Like, obviously there's going to be some times when we both can't be there. Is it okay if one goes 1 week, the other
It's fine
another?
because we filmed the lessons.
Yeah.
So then I send you your links to your lessons after.
Okay.
Ideally, both people be here, but I get it, and it's not a big deal. So then I just send the video to you, and then whoever didn't show up can watch the video so they can get caught up.
Okay.
So that's not a problem either.
Love you so much, Fiona.
Anything else?
No, you said Tina will send over everything though.
Yes. I sent her my recommendations and she follows up with
Perfect.
you. If you're doing an in-person, she'll send you a contract to sign. Once that's signed and submitted, she knows you're serious.
Okay.
And then you could send her your availability.
Fiona?
Here.
Like, what should we do when she does this?
You're fine.
Nothing now.
So pull, 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 pull.
Hey.
But right there, she did the same.
It was way.
The lock and then the head turn.
Yeah.
Right there. So do you see how the tail went wagging?
Yeah.
So that wasn't happy wag, that's nervous wag. Okay. There's a stress shake right there. So he comes out, she's observing the situation. She goes on alert, nervous tail wag. Tail stops, she's locked in. We see this, and then we see the reactivity.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, because you have the leash at the handle there, you have the least leverage. Did you notice when I got up, I grabbed
Like that.
right here,
Yeah.
right? And pulling up helps de-escalate. On a prong collar would be better because this is just a blunt service. When you pull up, it helps to calm the dog down. Depending on their stress levels, it's only going to do so much. Okay, but this is where like e-collar, prong collar tools come into play because now we have an actual aversive that's going to shut down the behavior. Okay. Other questions?
No.
Oh yeah, so for Tina, if you plan to do the in-person, if you send her both your availabilities, right? It makes it easier for her because then she looks at your calendars and then my calendar to see where we match up. And if there's a day where one person can't make it, not a big deal. With the board and trains, the follow-ups are booked on an as-needed basis, so there's no need to do once a week or whatever.
Okay.
And in some cases, what clients will do is that they'll do the board and train. They'll take a couple of weeks to implement what they've learned, and then they'll come back for a follow-up because then at least they have a couple of weeks of experience under their belt. Okay.
Cool.
Anything else?
No. I'm glad you saw that though again.
Yeah. Nothing I've not seen before.
Right. I just like.
Just a big dog.
Yeah.
She's just a big dog.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Fiona. Hi.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You're very
Yeah, thanks a
welcome.
lot.
Yeah, mull it over, think about it. You know,
Yeah.
it is an investment, and then
Yeah.
all the other stuff that I'm sure.
I know. I
the
mean, I
emotions.
obviously like. I don't mind paying, but it's like.
Yeah, and the mic you can just place on the chair there. I'll hold it for you.
Oh yeah. I just don't ever want anything to happen again.
Yeah.
You know, the most well-trained dog.
My wife's dog, Luna, who's the Pyrenees, and my dog, Lexi. So Lexi is 16. Luna's approximately 5 now. They don't like each other.
Okay.
They coexist. And maybe once, twice a year, we get a spat here and there, but we're able to stop it like immediately.
Yeah.
The most we've ever gotten is my pit, Lexi, got nicked above the eye from a canine. But, you know, I've been doing this for 16 years. I cannot make them like each other, right? They just coexist. And then, like I said, growing up, like my 2 brothers and sister, like they got into arguments, they got into fights. But as humans, like we know not to do that stuff or to take things too far, you know. But for dogs, they're primal.
Yeah.
So if I wasn't a dog trainer, my wife's dog and my dog would fight a lot more. But they coexist mostly peacefully. Every now and then there's a moment of tension and you see them trying to, it's mainly my wife's dog. My pit Lexi, she's retired. She's like, I don't want anything to do with this.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, guys. I'm very sorry to hear about what happened.